Welcome to the world of scale modeling with Mike Ashe, where techniques, tips, and creativity come alive with dozens of tutorials, projects, tape-up reviews, and picture references to help you build better scale models and enjoy our wonderful hobby. Welcome to part 10 of our multi-part series on detailing and building the Revell Monogram 148 scale B-17G. In part 10, we're going to super detail the cockpit, the bombardier's area, the navigator's area, and the radio operator's area with both photoetch from Eduard and the Verlinden detail set. So, let's get started.
I've laid out all of the detail parts that I'm going to add to both the cockpit area and the navigator bombardier section, which is the nose of the fuselage. And as I go over these and explain to you how I did it and why I did certain things a certain way, I think it'll make more sense to you. So I've used parts from the old Verlinden Productions Monogram B-17G detail set. Not everything, but some of the parts here. And they did a really nice job on this stuff. But I chose to use a lot of the kit parts instead. And the B-17G cockpit interior or nose interior that was done by Eduard for the Monogram Revell kit. So with that, let's start with some of the minor modifications I made to this kit part. I added one of these white clips here so that the feeders that I was explaining to you when I was showing you the details that I made to the machine guns, that feeder will slide into place and then slide onto the 50 caliber gun that points on the starboard side. This, if I can find it, here we go. This piece will go up in here like this, and this one will feed the port side 50 caliber machine gun. It goes right here. One of the things that I did on all of the resin parts, I put plastic backings on them. I super glued a plastic backing to the resin part and then cut it out. And the reason why I did that is so that I have some working time. I'll use regular tube testers, red tube glue, to glue these parts in place. And then what that does is it gives me a little bit of working time. So as I go through the parts, you'll notice that. So, oh, let me mention too that I put these two strips here. They're like 15 thousandths because there were two dimples under here, and instead of trying to fill them and sand this whole area out and make it smooth, I just decided to hide them. You're not really going to see that once everything's buttoned up. So there are two photo etch parts which go on the face of this. One goes here and the other one goes like right there. And so even the small photo etch parts have white plastic backings on them. These are 10 thousandths, but it's just enough so that I can use, again, tester's glue to glue everything in place and then position it properly. So I'm going to move these aside. Even this small piece has got a white backing to it, plastic backing. The other thing here is the bombardier's seat. I used the Verlinden frame, which was much sturdier than the Eduard frame in the Eduard base. And I've looked at a lot of pictures. It is skewed slightly to the port side or left side here, and I think they did that so that the pilot can just lean over to to where the Norton bomb sight is right here, and these will be where the levers are for dropping the bombs. So that's this piece, and then what I did was I put a pin on the bottom of this seat so that it will seat in place, just like that. Let's do the console here. This is really cool. This came out pretty good. This is the console for the engine quadrants and the controls. And I got to tell you, it took a lot of patience to get this to put together. And it will go right there. And once everything's buttoned up, what you're going to see is this, this, and this. And pretty much that's about it. What's next? Ooh, the instrument console goes like that. And you can see that where the fold is, not only is there a thin plastic backing on here for gluing, but I reinforce the fold, which I do on all of my photo etch parts. I reinforce wherever possible, and this will make it easier to glue and make it stronger and less susceptible to damage. It's pretty strong. So that's the cockpit console. And I'm going to jump around here a little bit. This piece here, you can see there's a plastic gluing surface on the bottom and tiny pieces of plastic on the inside, and these help reinforce this photo etch part. And this face, this big face here, is to the left of the bombardier's position, so it's going to go just like that. The other thing I want to show you, and then I'm going to set it aside, is if I can grab it here. This is the bomb release controls, and Edward did a really nice job on this. And it goes right there. And once the levers are on it, it'll look really, really good. So this bulkhead, this will be all painted up with a lot of detail work, and then this piece goes right here. The instructions call for you to remove this, but you really don't need to do it. Again, it's got a plastic backing on it that was super glued into place, and that will allow me to go ahead and use tester's glue here. And this sits pretty far back. This sits right here. So you're barely going to see this once everything's buttoned up. These small pieces will go inside of the navigator's area. They'll go on the bulkheads. And you can see that even this small piece has got a plastic backing to it. These came out really good. The other thing I do is after I put the plastic backing on it, I take an indelible marker and I go around the edge so that it's black. And you can see on the back it's white and the sides are black. On the left and right side console areas that go on the inside of the fuselage in the cockpit, that piece will go right there, and then this piece will go, whoop. Anyway, that piece, this piece, I'll get it there in a second. That piece goes there, and of course this one will go right there. And then the rest of this will be painted and detailed. Same thing on this one. I got 3 instrument pieces here, and they'll go on this plate and over here. So let me set that aside. You're not going to see this plate, so it really doesn't matter, but it's the control plate for the remote control arm for the forward turret. So I put that in place there. That'll be glued in place, which again, some testers tube glue, because it's got a plastic backing. These are kit pieces that go in the nose area. These pieces here, these also go in the console area, and they'll go over here, and there's some pieces, these small ones here will go right up here. So once the console is in place like that, and then these small pieces will go right up here, and it'll really dress up the interior. On the pilot and co-pilot seat, I carefully scraped and sanded off the seatbelt detail, and these pieces will go. These will be super glued directly, and it'll look like this. And then I've got some pre-painted seat belts and shoulder straps that I'll lay down over this. So that's going to look pretty good. Now let me set this other one aside. And had to do a little bit of cleanup work on the yokes for the controls, but they came out pretty good. Verlinden did a really nice job on the Norton bomb sight, and so I'm going to go ahead and use the Verlinden bomb sight, which is a lot more surface detail to it, and I'll just glue it to the bottom frame tray of the kit part, so it'll look like that, and it'll look pretty good. This electrical box will go down here like this. There's a big electrical box here, and that's where it'll go. That's a Verlinden casting. There are also ammo boxes, which Monogram did not provide, and those ammo boxes will go here. There'll be 3 of them spread across here, if I can get all 3 of them on. You'll have to bear with me. This stuff is really delicate, like this. And then the 3rd one will go here. And those are the ammo boxes that, there's actually a whole bunch of them, but I didn't want to lose any of this other detail. So I'll just use a few of those. This is the fire extinguisher that is very prominent, and it'll go, and it's got a thin plastic strip on the background, so I can put tiny drops of tester's glue on it, and it'll go right there. This piece here, this goes on, I'm not sure what this does, but there's one on the port side, or on the starboard side of the fuselage in the navigator's area. The one that's molded onto the inside area is kind of bland, so I'm just going to glue this one right over it, and this will provide a lot of depth to the interior. These oxygen bottles on the inside of the bulkheads, on the right side and on the left side of the bulkheads on the inside of the fuselage are oxygen tanks, and these oxygen tanks here will be glued to the bulkheads for a little more detail. They'll be painted yellow, and they each have a little tiny piece of plastic on it so that I can set them in place again with Tester's tube glue. These three small oxygen tanks go into the right side of the fuselage inside of the navigator's area. So once I get all these parts painted and everything put together, it's really going to add a high level of detail to the interior areas that you're going to see. So along with the changes I made to the machine guns and the engines and the landing gear and the control surfaces, this is going to be a really nice looking model when it's done. So those are all of the things that I'm going to add to, again, the cockpit and the navigator's area. And once I start to get them all painted and start gluing things in place, I'll show you what everything looks like. So this kind of concludes all the modifications that I'm making to this interior area. And I got to tell you that I didn't think I was going to be able to do this. It took several tries before I got it right. But it came out pretty good. And again, it'll look really, really nice. You're not going to see much of this, but again, I wanted to try and do this in 1/48 scale, and it came out okay. Hang on, I should do this with a pair of tweezers. It came out okay. It'll look better when it's painted. The arms and the cross levers for right here, and these arms will get painted flat black, and then it'll be installed in place, and it'll look really good. So again, with that, that concludes all of the details for the interior, and I hope this was helpful to you. And again, just to reiterate, always reinforce these photo etch boxes. You want to put a gluing surface on it that's plastic, because now I can use Tester's tube glue on that. And you always want to reinforce the interiors where you can. And on all of your photo etch parts, just laminate some plastic to the backing of them, and it'll really make a big difference in how you position and glue all these parts together. I added some detail to the radio operator's station. This bulkhead piece is where this 50 caliber machine gun sits. So when you look down through the glass here, the clear glass, you're going to see detail here, but not much more than that, primarily because the feeder belt is going to be in the way. So what I did was I taped these areas so I won't have to scrape them later when I airbrush. And this was the Eduard detail set for this area, and this piece goes here, and this goes right on top of it. And this radio goes here, and then this stack of radios goes on this side. And of course the seatbelt, the Army Air Corps cushions will go like that. And this one will go down here. So Eduard did a really good job of getting these to fit correctly. You got to tweak them a little bit, but this is the interior detail set for the radio operator station. So these will come out really good. And as I showed you on all of my photo etch parts, these are all backed with thin pieces of plastic so that I can use tester's glue to glue everything in place. This photo etch box has got plastic on both sides, and this thing will be airbrushed flat black. And then I'll just scrape a little bit of paint, and then I can use tester's glue to glue that in place. And the same thing with this radio face. So that just makes it very easy for you so that you won't have to worry about properly positioning it the first time with super glue. You can use tester's tube glue. It'll give you about 15 seconds of working time.
This concludes Part 10, and stay tuned for Part 11, where we paint all of these detail parts that we're going to add to the interior and then glue everything in place in preparation for buttoning up the fuselage. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give us a thumbs up. And when you get the chance, visit our website at www.mikeashley.com, where you're going to find dozens of free PDF downloads, including tutorials, picture references, model galleries, projects, and my 5 original scale modeling books. Thanks to Ben Sound and Videvo for the royalty-free music, and happy scale modeling!